When they arrived in this great country, they had only a few uses for the vast forests they found here. They built their log cabin homes with the trees they found, constructed furniture, implements, and utensils, and they used wood for fuel. Not many ways of using wood, but those few were vitally important. If they hadn't found wood here, there wouldn't have been an America. In the building of America, wood played a mighty part. It built our homes, our factories. It helped to build great railroads, our vehicles of transportation. It built our ships, ships of war and ships of peace. Today, the nation still calls for timber in tremendous quantities, and out of the forest it still comes. Trees to supply every need, trees of every kind for thousands of uses. Trees to build the millions of homes required to house our expanding population. Trees to supply the great quantities of pulpwood for our great pulp and paper industry. For our newspapers, our magazines, for the hundreds of uses to which paper is put. Trees for matches and telephone poles, for toothpicks and railroad ties, for furniture, musical instruments, airplanes, ships, and clothing. And trees as well for plastics and chemical products. Why, we depended on trees for the cellulose to make the film for this motion picture. Yes, a lot of trees are needed to keep America well supplied with wood for its thousands of uses. Will we have enough for the job? Will America's timber supply hold out? Or is timber like other natural resources, like minerals, gold for instance? When the miner takes minerals out of the ground, they are gone for all time. They never come back. Happily for tomorrow's timber supply, the lumberman is not like the miner. Where the lumberman works, he can and will work for generations to come. Because the lumberman is like the farmer. Like the farmer, harvesting his crop with the sure knowledge that in the future other crops will flourish in the same place. He knows his acres can again be lush and full. He manages it that way. The farmer's wheat kernel begins as a seedling. It is kept from harm, and when it stops growing, it is ready for the harvest. Just like wheat, trees begin as seedlings. Given sunlight and room to grow, they do grow. Every year, just like any plant, little trees become a little bigger. Careful management keeps them from harm. And finally, when they are mature, they should be harvested. Or like any other crop, they will lose vitality and become an easy prey of insects and disease. Yes, if not harvested when ready, trees become overripe. Here is a striking example of an overripe forest. A tree crop practically dead, useless, because it was not harvested in time. When nature creates something and it is not utilized, she lets life go out of it. She allows it to die. And yet, trees like this one need never have been wasted. Instead of rotting away in the forest, it might have served a useful purpose for generations to come. It might have been a schoolhouse. It might have been a home. Or it might have been a place of worship. Fortunately, today these things are clearly understood. Today, from the Pacific Northwest all the way to the southern pine country, wherever timber grows, the men in the forest industries know that trees need not be wasted. In every part of the nation, trees are grown as a crop, cared for and harvested as a crop. And today, the forest industries are working to assure ample timber in the future because of modern forest management. Forest management, a simple name for a complicated business. Forest management knows the amazing fertility of good tree-growing areas, knows that the forest can replenish itself. In certain areas, this natural growth is scientifically aided by what is known as selective logging. That means harvesting only mature trees, taking out trees that interfere with the growth of others and taking out trees that are not healthy. Look at this one. Yeah, the top is in very bad shape. Insects have attacked it. It had better be harvested now before the damage spreads. That's right. Put a marker on it, mister, so that when the loggers come around, they'll know it's to be removed. The little metal tag will tell them the whole story. So much for that one. Now, how about its neighbor? Perfectly healthy, so we'll leave it there to grow some more. And when the loggers have come and gone, the stumps tell the story of selective logging. The remaining trees and the young growth nearby tell the story of tomorrow's timber crop. In some locations and with other varieties of trees, instead of selective logging, an entirely different system assures a sustained yield. Here, spread over 100 square miles, blocks of seed trees have been left, a splendid illustration of forest management. In the cut areas, the trees have been completely harvested, but the other trees remain untouched so that they may scatter their seed over the harvested land. It quickly takes root and thrives because nature has a terrific urge to grow trees, such a tremendous urge that when the loggers pass this way again, they'll find ready for another harvest a brand new natural forest. Forest management not only helps nature grow trees, it also takes over the vital job of fire protection. 25% of all forest fires are started by careless smokers, something to think about. Deliberate firing, another 25%. Yes, there are people who destroy precious timber out of sheer maliciousness. Brush burning, 14%, not making sure that brush fires are actually out. Lightning, 9%. Summer storms keep forest management on the alert. And the remaining 27% come from a variety of causes. But whatever the cause, the fact remains that fire uncontrolled could nullify management's plans for future timber. That is why in managed forests, special effort is made to detect fires quickly. At the first sign of smoke, they are accurately located by instruments, even at great distances. In managed forests, every blaze is scientifically fought. There is no waiting to organize volunteers as the blaze gains headway. These firefighters, just like city firefighters, are ready to move when the alarm comes in. And although they may be out in the woods, they've got the best equipment for their purposes that science can devise. Tricky mountain roads mean careful driving, but it doesn't take long for these boys to go into action. In fighting fires, forest management applies the principle that a small amount of water brought into play while the fire is still small is better than hundreds of frantic men called out when it's too late. Yes, in managed forests, scientific firefighting does the trick. It's all a question of understanding what to do. How much better this is than the old haphazard way with flames frequently out of control. The forest industries know very well the damage that an uncontrolled fire can cause. Dead waste, mile after mile. And the public, too, must be made to know. It must cooperate with the forest industries and with state and federal agencies. It must learn from scenes like this to avoid carelessness when smoking or camping in wooded areas. When trees are destroyed by fire or by anything else, the forest industries take over another big job, replacement. In nurseries like this, all over the country, are millions of young seedlings destined to become part of tomorrow's timber crop. Into the ground they go. Row after row, mile after mile of strong new growth, sitting in the sunlight, putting on board feet. Skillful forest management and bountiful nature working together. American forest land. Under proper management, a vast self-perpetuating resource. The only one of our basic resources that can replenish itself from the earth and from the air. Our forests have always been important. Literally, they have built the nation. But they are doubly important today. For here, before our eyes, is much more than just plain timber. Today, we live on the threshold of a great age of wood. An age in which science will create new and improved ways of using familiar materials. Because trees grow so abundantly, because so much of our land is best suited for the growing of trees, we may confidently expect the forest to furnish mankind with a variety of new and wonderful things, undreamed of services. Even now, we can see the beginnings. Plywood for prefabricated housing, as architects and engineers anticipate many uses for it. The aviation industry creates a plane entirely of plywood. Who knows? Perhaps planes built of forest products will be commonplace in the coming age of wood. Chemical science looks to America's forest crop for an unfailing supply of raw materials upon which to perform its miracles of conversion. The chemist has long realized the possibilities of the forest. He has already produced from wood such familiar things as these: formaldehyde, glycerin, creosote, acetone. They are only a hint of what can be done. For instance, through the magic of the laboratory, we have compregnated wood, a new and revolutionary product. These sections of pipe originated in the forest. Perhaps someday they will replace less versatile metals. And the chemist works with sawdust, formerly thrown away, considered waste. From it comes wood flour, and from wood flour can be made all sorts of plastics, flashlights, telephones, objects of every sort. Wood in a fascinating new form, readily molded, lending itself to 1,000 refinements in color and design, helping to make our everyday world easier and more pleasant to live in. Wood helps to make such things as linoleum, molded bowling balls. Even dynamite begins as growing timber. Technicians in the chemical laboratory discovered in the humble woodpile the ingredients for creating a major miracle. After the logs have been broken up, after they have been reduced to millions of little chips, they are ready to be transformed into one of the most useful materials we know. Chemically digested in tremendous vats, the one-time separate chips become masses of wood pulp. And wood pulp, properly treated, becomes a substance with untold possibilities. Cellulose, it's called. Derived by chemistry from America's timber crop. Cellulose, the basis for America's far-flung paper industry. And aside from all the familiar forms of paper, here's cellulose doing its job in every home in America. Then there's a fascinating family of synthetics. Who'd ever guess that trees could be made into stuff like this? Cellophane. Of course, we're all familiar with it, but how many of us realize that it has its beginning in the forest? Look at this handsome container, cellulose, and look at the contents, for even fabrics nowadays can stem from cellulose too. A modern woman can have a complete wardrobe of forest products. From stockings, sheer as the finest silk, to dress and hat. And that's to say nothing of all the varied accessories, gloves, bag, everything. And very pretty, too. Yes, to supply the requirements of today and luxuries tomorrow, science looks to the forests. And when you ask, can America's timber supply hold out? Is there enough timber in America? Can we grow enough trees in the West, in the South, and everywhere else? Forest management answers yes. So keep them coming. These billions and billions of feet of timber that the nation needs. Our supply can hold out because where trees have been harvested, new forests are springing up. Everywhere, new seedlings reach for the sun as forest industries watch over them. Before our eyes, the miracle of management is taking place. Among the stumps of the old crop are rising the planned forests of the future. The forests of the future, managed forests, rich crops of timber. Timber, vital now, and it will be even more vital in the great age of wood that is just ahead. Forest management, American enterprise, watches over it and leaves us with a solemn but thrilling pledge. A few simple words, yet they hold the promise of happiness and prosperity for the generations of Americans that are to come. Timber today, freeze for tomorrow.